What's up, a Cinema Shogun here, and this Ezra Miller situation is far worse than we could have ever imagined. His little crime spree started a while back, and he has been wreaking havoc, attacking women around the globe, and now, of course, he is accused of, for lack of better words, kidnapping a girl that he groomed since the age of 12. And notice I use the word kidnapping. Listen, if a father has his children for an hour longer than he's supposed to before returning them to the mother, they'll literally put out an Amber Alert. Yet in this situation, where we have a guy who is knowingly running away from law enforcement, hiding a child who has been reported missing by the parents, it's kidnapping basically here. That's what's going on here. They won't use these words because they're trying to be as easy on this guy as possible, because everyone is afraid to speak the truth about Ezra Miller, because Ezra Miller is part of a protected class. However, that's basically what's going on here. But I told you all that I was going to bring you all this information. Now, I waited as long as I could to see if the parents had time to come on my channel. Unfortunately, they haven't yet, but that door is still open. But this girl, who is allegedly being groomed to be part of Ezra Miller's cult, her uncle has spoken out. And it just so turns out her uncle is a chief. Chief Bear testifies that Ezra Miller groomed his niece, Takata, and brought a firearm into his home. Plus, Ezra attacked Takata's mother. I'm telling you all, this is going to get a little weird. This is going to get a little crazy. But let's go ahead and hop right into these details because it's a lot. It's a lot to unpack here. But let's just start. Multiple witnesses. I'm already off to a bad start. Multiple witness reports state that actor Ezra Miller is allegedly supplying illegal, mind-altering drugs to teenagers at their Vermont farm, committing extreme acts of physical and psychological harm, and claiming that they are the second coming of Jesus Christ in an apparent cult-like manner. From brandishing a firearm to violent sexual outbursts against women to one repeated use of narcotic ketamine, journey down this dark rabbit hole into these twisted and disturbing allegations against the actor best known for their role as the Flash. Now we're about to hop into an exclusive interview with Chief Bear Cross, which is Takata Iron Eyes' uncle. There is no question that Ezra Miller is a danger to others, as they have recently embarked on a violent crime spree in Hawaii, resulting in multiple arrests and allegations that include assault and theft. Miller has a history of violent crimes against women, including an incident 2 years ago in which he was caught on camera choking and slamming a fan to the ground. Now, if you don't know, I didn't read it, but it's included in here, that Ezra, he's a non-binary, trans, whatever. And if you ask me, he's harboring some real hatred for women. Because most likely he wants to be a woman. So therefore, he acts on his hatred towards women, and he attacks random women all the time. And when I say all the time, I mean all the time. And most of these situations, it's just random women. Singing karaoke, random women standing there, and he'll just come up and hit them in the head with a chair. Dude hates women. And the reality is, a lot of these people who want to be women, they hate women too. They want to replace women. Everyone wants to talk about misogyny. But how bad, is the state that we're in right now, where men are allowed to just say, I'm a woman now, and literally get to compete in women's sports and what have you. And here we have a woman hater who has disguised himself as, I identify as this, I identify as that, to cover up their hatred and to shield them from consequences when they do act out in a violent nature, in a violent manner. So, despite all of this, Warner Bros. Has yet to officially terminate the actor's contract and his role as the Flash. Some say that may change now, but we're not sure. I'm going to be honest with you all. Hollywood totally backs up people like this. As soon as you come out as part of this group, Hollywood will back you to the ends of the earth. Now, if you're a man who gets accused of doing something that you didn't do, like Johnny Depp, they'll fire you on the spot. Oh, you're out of there. But if you're someone like Ezra, you get to do whatever you want. So it's unclear as to whether he will keep this role. I can tell you right now, from what my sources tell me, they don't plan on getting rid of him yet. Even after everything that he's done so far, and even after these new allegations about grooming a child and kidnapping them, they still aren't ready to get rid of him. And there's only one reason as to why they won't get rid of him. And downright, honestly, I think they're scared to. Because they don't want the backlash from this community. And they don't want to be labeled as bigots or hateful to non-binaries or what have you. So they're scared to make a decision. Meanwhile, he is getting all of this money from this role and using it to fly little girls around the world and to hide them from their parents. That's what's happening here. Ezra Miller has refused on several occasions to seek treatment for drug addiction and psychiatric issues that will be discussed here in detail. On June 7th, 2022, Lakota activist and founder of Last Real Indians, Chase Iron Eyes, and his wife, Sarah Jumping Eagle, filed an order of protection against Ezra Miller with the Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court. According to the order of protection, Ezra Miller is currently physically and emotionally abusing, psychologically manipulating, physically intimidating, and endangering the safety and welfare of Takata Iron Eyes. Now, if you don't know all of the details about this story, go back and watch my prior videos. There's a lot of information here that we've already gone over, and I don't want to just keep rehashing the story. But if you're wondering how they met, here's a quick rundown. When Takata was 12, she met the then 23 Ezra Miller because he came in and he was doing activist work with her parents. Her parents are actually famous activists, and Takata has actually made a name for herself as well. She has worked alongside the most annoying person in the world, Greta Thunberg, or whatever her name is. AOC follows her on Instagram, so she was known in this, weird little activist community. And Ezra infiltrated this activist community, acted like he cared about the environment, and he cared about this, and he cared about that, when in reality, he was just preying on the children of these activists and basically getting them and luring them into his cult. Because Ezra isn't as stupid as he looks and as stupid as he acts. He knows that these young activist types, they have some of the most impressionable minds you can imagine. And sometimes they come across like they're really smart and they really know what they're talking about. 9 times out of 10, these are just misguided kids who may be speaking for some things that really matter. I'm not going to say that the things that they're trying to bring awareness to are always dumb, but a lot of times it is. A lot of times it's just a way to, brainwash someone into one way of thinking. And he knows that these are young, impressionable minds out here, and he took advantage of the situation. And he pretended like he cared about this movement that they were with. And, we know how it turned out. He no longer cares about the movement. He's no longer worried about the charity work. He's not here being an activist, fighting the good fight. No, he's out here dropping acid with 14-year-old girls and traveling around the world with them. Mind you, this girl is now 18, but he's been doing this with her since the age of 12. Since the age of 12. So, it's so much here that I don't know where to begin. But let's just begin here, I guess. As I just said, Takada was only 12 while Ezra was 23. According to Takada's parents, in hindsight, Ezra began grooming Takada during this time, when Takada was around the age of 12 through 14. Ezra invited an indigenous family from Standing Rock to London to visit the set of the Harry Potter film Fantastic Beasts. Ezra also invited Takada and their parents, felt they would be safe accompanying the other family, with whom Takada's family had a close relationship to. Takada was starstruck, and initially, the relationship seemed innocent enough. However, while in London, Ezra attempted to sleep in the same bed as the 14-year-old Takada before being chased off by a chaperone who ordered Ezra to sleep elsewhere. According to the order of protection, this information was not known to Takada's parents until recently, when the chaperone stepped forward as a witness. So, from what we hear here, and Takada's parents didn't know this until recently, but while she was young and on this trip, she was 14 at the time, Ezra Miller attempted to sleep with her in the same bed. This is someone who's supposed to be a fan that he flew out to the premiere of his movie. Now, before we go any further, yes, the elephant in the room. Why the hell is the parents allowing this man to get so close to their daughter? I know. I feel like that's a conversation that we need to have. However, I feel like it's more important to track this little girl down, because regardless of what the parents' motives were, regardless if that's bad parenting or whatever you want to call it, the girl is still missing. So I feel like personally, we should focus our energy on finding this girl, making sure she's okay. Then we hold Ezra accountable, and then we question the family as to why the hell this was allowed to go down in the first place. So a lot of people have just been like, screw this situation. The parents are bad. That doesn't mean that you just leave this little girl like out to dry, like you just hang her up out to dry. And it's just throw her to the wolves like a piece of meat. Ezra, you can have her. Her parents made the wrong decision 6 years ago. That's not how I feel here. Yeah, I am not happy about what the parents allowed to go down here. But first, we need to find this girl, and then we'll have that discussion, in my opinion. But so many people have just dismissed the situation, all because the parents made some questionable decisions. But even if that's the case, this is still a little girl that we're talking about. And I say little girl because I don't care if she's 18 now. She was 12 when this all started. 12. According to Takada's parents, they were informed years after the fact by their daughter that Ezra began taking the underage activist to alcoholic establishments without their permission when they were 14 years of age. When Takada was 16 years old, Ezra convinced their parents to let them attend a private school in Massachusetts, Bard College at Simon's Rock, about an hour from Ezra's farm. So it came to their knowledge recently that even when this girl was 14, she was out at the bar and stuff hanging out with Ezra. They had no clue about the situation as far as what they say. And then when she was 16, Ezra offered to pay for her college and sent her off to they sent her off to college early. And Ezra was supposed to take care of the expenses. And just wait till you find out what happens here. Takata's parents saw this as an excellent opportunity for their daughter to pursue their dreams while getting a proper education, viewing Ezra as a mentor for Takata's hedgeling career. Ezra lied and pretended that they would pay Takata's tuition through an altruistic organization, and which in fact the organization was not even affiliated with Ezra. So, this whole college experience, for the most part, it didn't even exist. I'm not sure how far along they went with this, but this organization that was supposed to be affiliated with Ezra, they weren't. It was all a big lie, and it was all a big move to get this little girl away from her parents and closer to Ezra. Now, this whole entire time, from their understanding, from the parents' understanding, Ezra was this non-binary dude who didn't like women, and their daughter was a lesbian. So they thought that everything was going to be okay here. They didn't think that there was anything sexual about the situation. They let their guard down as far as the grooming situation goes, because they thought, hey, this is just a guy who swings the other way. Our daughter swings that way as well. They're interested in some of the same things. Maybe he could mentor our daughter. He made this family believe that he cared about all of these, social justice issues that they cared about, when in reality he didn't. And that's why I keep telling people that this situation's a little bit different than situations that we've seen like this in the past. Yes, I know, I still would not allow my kid around this person, but they let their guard down for various different reasons here. And this should show parents out there, never let your guard down, regardless of the circumstances. So, this organization that Ezra claims he was affiliated with that would help pay Takata's tuition didn't exist. It did not exist. And later on, Ezra would use this against Takata to instill a sense of indebtedness. For those of you all who don't know, often groomers, often people like this, they like to have something that they can hold over your head. Maybe they paid your rent one month. Maybe they bought you something to eat one day when you were hungry. Maybe you were homeless and they allowed you to live in their garage. I don't know. They always try to find a little something to hold over your head so you feel like you owe them something. So this little girl, in many ways, feels like she owes Ezra something, because she went to the school that Ezra got her to go to for 2 weeks before dropping out and going to Ezra's farm to do acid. But, these are the little psychological things that these type of people do in order to have some type of control over you. And, he's been in this little girl's ear since she was 12. So there's no telling what she believes, what he's made her believe, and what type of effects that he's had on her mind, throughout all of these years. Now, prior to running off and meeting Ezra, Takata identified as gay, queer, with she, they pronouns. So the parents knew that their daughter was gay. What Ezra has been trying to do, what this little girl is trying to do because she's under Ezra's tutelage, they're trying to guard themselves here by saying, oh, the parents, they're phobic, they're bigots, they just don't like this situation because I identify this way, when in reality, from what the parents state, they know their daughter better than anyone. They've known that their daughter was gay for years and years and years. But this situation with Ezra, he's taken it to a whole nother level, because now he has instilled in this little girl's mind that she's not gay. No, she's a man, and she needs to start taking hormones, and she needs to get surgeries and what have you. So this family was perfectly open to the fact that their daughter was gay. But now, over the past couple of years, Ezra has put it in her mind, and from what they say, Ezra made this decision himself. Not Takata. Ezra made the decision that, oh, Takata, no longer are you gay, no longer are you a lesbian or whatever the hell you identify as. Now you're a man. Now you need to start transitioning into a man. So that's what has this family worried. Naturally so. Unbeknownst to the parents, Takata began regularly traveling to Ezra's farm and consuming drugs while she was supposed to be at school. Their grades began to slip until eventually Takata stopped attending the school in December 2021, the same time that Ezra returned to Vermont. Around 2 a.m. on December 31st, Takata called Lakota Chief Bear Cross and asked him if she could stay at his house for the night. According to Chief Bear Cross, he said, "That's fine because Takata is my niece." So I said, fine, they can hit the couch. The next morning I woke up and this young man jumped up, alerted. Ezra said, "Hello, my name is Ezra." I said, "Oh, nice to meet you, Ezra." I made coffee, and Ezra sat down at the table with me and said, "You don't recognize me?" I said, "No, who are you?" Ezra said, "I'm a movie actor for DC. And I said, "Oh, really?" I wasn't really interested. Ezra had an ugly, snotty attitude, and they repeated, "I'm Ezra Miller. I'm an actor. I played the Flash." I said, "Oh, okay, cool." Wasn't really that interested in it. And Ezra didn't like that. So, Takata asked her uncle if she could crash from the couch. Uncle's like, "You know what? It's late, but whatever. Come on." So he doesn't even follow up with the situation. He goes to bed. Unbeknownst to him, not only does Takata come, but Ezra Miller comes. Imagine waking up and Ezra Miller is just on your couch. And he's offended that you are like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he's offended that you didn't know that he was the Flash. Oh my God. And just think about this. This guy has plenty of money. This guy could go get a hotel, an Airbnb, anywhere. Yet he's crashing on this couch. You know what this is? This is another form of control. He wanted Takata to feel like he couldn't go anywhere else, that he was depending on her for help, that he had to crash on the couch of her uncle, when in reality, he's digging the roots into her even deeper, making her feel like they're both going through this chaotic situation together, and that she had to be the knight in shining armor in this moment and help Ezra with the place to stay. But in doing so, this is all like trauma bonding here. This is like a trauma bonding situation. A trauma that Ezra probably caused himself. Why in the hell did they have to come stay on this guy's couch in the middle of the night? I don't know, but I would argue that they probably weren't doing anything too good before they got here. You know what I mean? When you have Ezra Miller sleeping on your couch, I think you should ask, why the hell are you here in the first place? Probably running from the cops, to be honest. But from what the uncle says, Ezra didn't like that the uncle didn't know who he was. It irritated him. Now, the uncle took several pictures with him. And we're going to get to this in a moment. I'll show you some of the pictures here. Takata told their parents that Ezra Miller was frequently using the drug ketamine. According to the DEA website, ketamine is defined as a general, short-acting anesthetic with hallucinogenic effects, sometimes used to facilitate SA crimes. So, ketamine is often used to slip into people's drinks and stuff like that. Yet Ezra has this almost like an addiction to it. He's literally addicted to the same stuff that you slip in people's drinks if you're a creep, which would make me believe he's probably doing this to other people. Dude, your drug of choice is like a date rape drug. You're a creep. You're a weirdo at this point. And I would assume that he's probably dropping this in drinks all around the world. Who knows what he's doing? But guess what? It's okay. If you're getting upset by this, I want you all to remember, Ezra Miller is non-binary. Therefore, you do not have the right to get upset. You do not have the right to ask questions. Because after all, he is non-binary and he can do whatever the hell he wants. And if you got something to say about it, you're a bad person. You're a bad person. How dare you question they? How dare you? So, Chief Bearcross also encountered Miller's use of drugs. When Ezra came into my home, it was a strong odor of marijuana. I don't like marijuana. I hate marijuana. I don't like the smell of it. It was pretty strong. Every time Ezra walked by, they smelled like it. Anyway, I gave Ezra a home to stay in, a bedroom to lay in, my kid's bedroom. Now, for one, guys, I don't know about you, but marijuana is not the issue here, okay? All of this stuff that's going on, there's no need to even mention it. Marijuana is not the problem here. I can assure you that this is a result of no accountability and a hell of a lot of other stuff, a lot of other substances. But he allowed Ezra to stay at the home, gave Ezra a room, kicked his own kid out of the bedroom like, hey man, you know what? Ezra Miller's here, the Flash. I didn't know who the guy was 10 minutes ago, but you could have my kid's room now. We went out to eat. Everyone liked Ezra. We went into a restaurant and the waitresses went crazy. Everyone got Ezra's autograph and pictures. At the end of the night, Ezra said, why don't all these MFers leave me alone and let me be? I looked at Ezra like, you're a movie star. People are going to be around you. But Ezra didn't like it. Ezra wanted to smoke and keep Takata in eyesight. Ezra was smoking in my truck. Marijuana mixed with something I never heard of before, called ketamine. Ezra's eyes were bloodshot red. They were paranoid, saying that the FBI is everywhere. He's paranoid because he knows what he's doing. In this situation, Takata's uncle is like, man, what's wrong with this dude? He's smoking and getting paranoid for no reason. No, he's getting paranoid for a reason, dude. He's paranoid because he's smoking and he knows that he's grooming your niece. He knows that your 14-year-old niece is in the other room and he's literally controlling her mind, for lack of better words. And from the way Chief Bear describes it, Ezra had this thing where Takata couldn't be out of his sight for too long. He needed to see where Takata was and who Takata was speaking to. And I feel like the reason he feels that way is because of all the questionable things he did with Takata at such a young age. Yeah, there was drugs. Yeah, there was alcohol. And in my honest opinion, I believe that there was some sex involved as well. And I'm not trying to speculate here too much. But if this was anyone else in the situation, we would be calling it what it is. So I don't think that we should rule that out. In fact, I'm pretty sure that there was. But we'll see. We shall see. When asked how he knew Ezra was smoking ketamine, Chief Bear replied, Ezra said it was ketamine. On December 31st and January 1st, we did a house ceremony on Pine Ridge, South Dakota. Ezra waited outside the trailer where we did the ceremony. I asked Ezra, "Are you on drugs? Are you on alcohol? What are you doing? Why are your eyes so red?" Ezra said to me, "Well, I smoke cannabis with a little bit of ketamine." While posing for a photo with Takata, Chief, and his kids, Ezra showed just how dangerous they are. We were posing for a photo, and after we took the photo with my family, we decided to get one with just me and Ezra. Well, as the picture was being taken, Ezra just opened their big old jacket and pulled out a .40 caliber firearm. I asked, "Is that real?" And Ezra said yes. Ezra also said that in Vermont, you don't need a permit to conceal. It made me feel unsafe because Ezra pulled it out unannounced. I did not know Ezra had a firearm. I would not have let him into my house. I wouldn't have let him stay in my home if I knew Ezra had a firearm, because I don't know who Ezra really is, famous or not. I don't allow anyone into my home with a firearm. If I don't know them, because the safety of my children. I thought Ezra was a famous actor for the children, but they are not. Ezra is violent towards women and makes children feel unsafe. Now, here in this photo, you could see him right next to Ezra as Ezra pulls this gun out. Now, we could ask the question, well, dude, you are sitting here taking pictures with Ezra while he does this. But from what he says, this was like a spur of the moment, like we're posing for a photo, and Ezra goes like, "Yeah!" and pulls the little ski mask over his head. So, insane situation. My takeaway is this. I don't care if Chief Bear really felt awkward in this moment or not. There's going to be discussion. "Oh, well, Chief Bear took this photo with him. He doesn't look disturbed in the photo." I get it. I don't really care about that. What I care about is, now we know for a fact this dude is armed and dangerous. I made a comment in my last video that Ezra's out here missing, running around with missing girls while armed and dangerous, and some people had something to say about that comment. Well, this is why I say this. I've been sitting on this information for like 2 days now, waiting for the parents to respond to me. I'm still waiting. But yeah, dude's out here strapped up. So, even if this little girl wasn't involved in the situation, when you know that Ezra's been arrested multiple times within the last couple of months, and he's always getting arrested for attacking women, and now you know he's got a firearm out here, I think we should all be scared. Hide your kids, hide your wives. Ezra Miller is slapping all the women out here. And now he's got a gun. And he's got a 16 or 18-year-old flunky that's riding around with him everywhere he goes, looking like a zombie in his back seat, probably willing to attack anybody for him. This is sick, twisted, and weird. Really weird. So, Chief Bear Cross acutely observed the fact that Ezra would not let Takata out of his sight during their stay with the Cross family. I know for a fact when Ezra stayed here in my home, Ezra had Takata wrapped around so tight she barely went outside. Ezra Miller was right there beside her. Ezra jumped up real quick outside like who she's talking to, who she's with. There was even a point in time when we were doing the ceremony over in Pine Ridge, and my wife was outside loading up the altar after the ceremony, and Takata and Ezra were having sex on a bed that was laying outside. What? What? Hold up. Let's rewind. All right. Seriously. Let's start at the beginning. He noticed, while Ezra was staying with him, that he wouldn't let Takata out of his eyesight. And that one time when Takata went outside to do something, he jumped up and was really paranoid about who she was talking to and what she was doing. Why was he so paranoid? Probably because he didn't want Takata talking to people about what they were doing. He didn't want a 12, 13, 14-year-old Takata going and telling anyone that she's getting doped up on ketamine and, having sex with Ezra Miller. It's so disgusting. Why on earth is this man still a free man? Why on earth is he still on the Flash movie? Why have we come to this point in our society where we allow these monsters to take advantage of children, all because of their sexuality? So, just to let you know this again, this is coming from the uncle of Takata. The uncle of Takata says that he and his wife were outside loading up an altar for a ceremony. And he found Takata and Ezra having sex on a random mattress laying outside. His wife found that. I didn't know any of that happened until way later when my wife told me. Ezra is still so possessive of Takata. Ezra has her wrapped around so bad she devoted her life to Ezra. You can see it. I think part of it is the drugs. Ezra groomed my niece, Takata. All I want is my niece to come home to her family, her cousins and siblings. They all miss her, and they all want her away from Ezra. After January 1st, Chase Iron Eyes accompanied Ezra Miller and Takata to Oakland, California. Also in tow were two other young women, Stella, a.k.a. Stella Marbles, and Maya Solange, a.k.a. Ella Arias, or whoever the hell these people are. While at a state park, Ezra repeatedly told Chase that they believed that they themselves were the second coming of Jesus Christ, before pulling out a firearm Maya Solange also has since come forward claiming that Ezra Miller physically and emotionally abused her, including photos of bite marks on her thighs. Man. Sorry if there's some pauses while I'm reading. I have to be careful when reading things like this because there's words in here that you can't say on YouTube. I've already stumbled and said a few of them, so I probably won't get any monetization on this video. So if you want to support the channel, you can do so via CashApp or you could drop a super thanks. But I'm sure YouTube will demonetize my video for saying some of these words. So I have to be careful here because this is just absolutely so bad. It's so bad. But yeah, Ezra Miller, while having a conversation with Takata's father, let him know that he believes that he's the second coming of Christ, and then pulled out a pistol. And one of these other little girls that Ezra had in tow, which I have to ask Takata's father, at no point in time when you're going around the world with Ezra Miller, do you not find it weird that Ezra is surrounding himself with little teenage girls? I get it. Dude seems really out there. Dude does not seem like he likes women in the least bit. He doesn't look like he likes them at all. The reality is, I think he does. I think he hates women. I think he wants to be women, or a woman. And I think he wants to have sex with women. And I don't think women want to really have sex with him. I mean, He's an actor. I'm sure he could clean himself up. He's an okay looking guy. I'm sure women will throw themselves at him because he's rich. But he's just a weirdo creep. And I would believe that if it wasn't for Hollywood and for his roles in these movies, this would kind of be the creepy guy you see on the subway and try to stay away from. That's how he acts. But yeah, he's got these other little girls in tow, and that's a point that I tried to make in my past videos, that Takada is just a person that we know about now. There will be more. There has already been others. A few years from now, we will be watching the surviving Ezra Miller story, and even one of the little girls that was on this trip with Takada has already come forward and said that Ezra Miller is a horrible person, attacks her all the time, and shared photos of bite marks on her thighs. What non-binary they that doesn't like women, that wants to be a woman, is biting on women's thighs? Obviously, this dude is into some more things than we thought. But he shielded himself, like I keep saying. January 25th, 2022, Brooklyn, NY. Ezra allegedly drugged Takada into an incapacitated state with LSD. Incoherent, Takada was taken back to Ezra's farm in Stamford, Vermont, where their mental state began to deteriorate. Their condition got so bad that Ezra Miller and their house guests finally called Takada's parents on Saturday, January 29th, to inform them that Takada was incapacitated and that they did not feel safe, comfortable, or able to help Takada recover. During this time, Takada cut off all of her hair. She did not sleep or eat for several days. 2 days prior, Ezra posted a video to Instagram threatening the KKK. During this episode, Ezra reportedly transported an unknown supply of firearms and ammunition from Vermont to North Carolina for a potential confrontation with the KKK. Oh, man. I didn't know that yet. That just blew my mind. A while back, if you've been following this Ezra Miller story, then you know about this. A while back, Ezra Miller posted this video on his Instagram profile calling out the KKK, saying that he was, going to kill them, or that they needed... you got to go look it up. I can't even repeat what he said. And that's when a lot of people started asking questions like, what the hell is up with this dude? I didn't know that after that video, Ezra transferred a large supply of firearms and ammunition all the way to North Carolina for a potential confrontation with the KKK. So Ezra, along with Takada, are out here about to go to war with the KKK in North Carolina. Takada was compelled to go along and was subjected to the heightened anxiety, impending violence, firearms, drug use, and overbearing fear of an armed situation. So this is when Takada started freaking out. Sarah Jumping Eagle and Chase Iron Eyes flew to Vermont on January 30th to rescue Takada from Ezra Miller's farm, which they did successfully at the time. Takada was still incapacitated. Here's a photo of her. Takada was still incapacitated and unable to stay in this world, but agreed to return home with their parents. Takada did not have or know the whereabouts of her bank card, her driver's license, her tribal ID passport, phone, any of her clothing, her car keys, or any other item needed to navigate her life independently. So, whoa. This girl's car is gone, car keys gone, cell phone gone, hair gone, now it's growing back. Everything that she would need to survive on her own was gone. Bank card gone, all of her IDs, everything just gone. And it's magically everything that she would need to live an independent life without Ezra. So Ezra has this financial control over this little girl. He's taking her all around the world, and I'm sure that's impressive, but it's not worth the type of things that she's dealing with psychologically. And you could see that this girl is just totally out of it, and even told her parents that she was unable to stay in this world. And that may seem like a stupid little statement, but you have to understand here, Ezra Miller has been displaying cult-like behavior. Ezra Miller describes himself as the second coming of Christ. When confronted with these allegations, Ezra has not said anything. Ezra is still on the run at the moment of this recording, but Ezra responded to the allegations on Instagram by releasing a little picture that said, "You can't find me. I'm in a different universe. I'm in a different dimension." So it's very possible that this little girl thinks that she's going to go into a different dimension and into a different universe with Ezra Miller. She's like drinking the Kool-Aid right now, if any of you all know what that means. It's bad, people. It's bad. And it's far worse than I thought. Man, it is way worse than I thought. And if there was nothing wrong here, if she was just jet-setting around the world with Ezra and there was nothing wrong here, she would still have her car, her cell phone, bank card. Everything is gone. Everything has purposely been taken away from her. Takata's parents noticed, and I could see it right here, Takata's parents noticed bruises on her arms, legs, and her cheeks. As Takata left Ezra's home, Ezra sent frantic text messages to Takata's mother, asking her to bring Takata back, saying that Ezra would get a full mental health staff to be available at their farm 24/7, and that Ezra would leave if Takata's parents wanted. On the return trip to South Dakota, Takata's parents discovered all of these bruises on her arms and her wrist and her face. A witness to the situation verified to Takata's parents that these bruises were caused by Ezra Miller at their Vermont home, when Ezra pinned Takata down because Takata would not answer a line of inquiry put forth by Ezra. The witness thrust herself between Ezra and Takata to physically break up Ezra's grasp on Takata's body. So Ezra asked Takata a question, didn't immediately receive an answer, and then just went absolutely crazy on Takata. And another one of the little girls that is being carted around by Ezra is the one that came forward and let her parents know this. The amount of things that you're allowed to get away with right now is, oh my God, man. I don't think people realize that things are this bad. I know there are other people reporting on this story. I don't think they realize how bad things are here. This is bad, folks. I fear for this little girl's life. I really do. I wouldn't put it past Ezra to take himself out either. This is insane. According to the order of protection in early February 2022, Ezra broke into Takata's friend's house and stole Takata's computer, passport, driver's license, car keys, and cell phone. So, oh my God. Like I said, I am sorry, folks. I'm reading through this information, most of which I already became familiar with over the past couple of days. Some of it is still new to me. I'm trying to traverse around these words, and at the same time, I am mind blown. Because every step of the way is just more and more and more and more. And it's just, why is this guy out here a free man? This dude is literally on record that he broke into Takata's friend's house and stole all of Takata's stuff so she wouldn't have like a way to contact home. Takata spent 3 weeks detoxifying from the drugs that they consumed at Ezra Miller's farm. Traditional Lakata cleansing renewal ceremonies were conducted to assist Takata's healing. It took 10 grueling days for Takata to be able to function on their own in some capacity. Takata told their parents that Ezra Miller was using ketamine and that Takata was deeply impacted by Ezra Miller's Voodoo's priest associate whom they visited while in New Orleans. Takata... Oh, man. Oh, man. Listen, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. This is not a funny situation at all. But man, what the fuck? Whoa! I'm sorry. I'm laughing because we live in a clown world. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't do anything but laugh at this point. This guy took this little girl to a voodoo priest. If things can't get any worse, and you know what? I know for a fact that this allegation is true because Ezra Miller's little alternate identity is called Voodoo Pussy. Yeah, I don't want to repeat the name, but what I just said is Ezra's alternate identity, his alternate personality. So him taking her to see a voodoo person or voodoo priest, it's right up his alley. If you followed up with this guy, it's right up his alley. Oh, man. So Takata actually told her parents that she was deeply impacted by this voodoo priest. Takata expressed that Ezra told them that he had been AR'd when he was 14 years old. That someone took advantage of him sexually when he was 14 years old. So here he is taking advantage of a 14-year-old Takata. Often, people who are taken advantage of, let's just say at a young age, they go on to take advantage of other people at a young age. So it's all fitting right together. It's all coming together here. When Takata's mother asked them about the bruises on their body and face, Takata stated that they would not answer Ezra, so Ezra had them down and kept hollering at them, pinned them down, and another friend had to intervene and get Ezra off of Takata. According to their parents, Takata made it sound like this was somehow related to Ezra's experience of being touched as a kid, as though Ezra was reenacting their own personal trauma onto Takata. Ezra is aware of their own personal experience with grooming. In November 2018, while discussing the Me Too movement, Ezra told the Hollywood Reporter, because we all know and knew it was unacceptable when we effing survived it. That's what Hollywood is. I thought we were all sex workers. Takata told their parents that they wanted a new driver's license, a new bank ID, a new cell phone. Chase Iron Eyes helped them through the process to obtain these items. Takata then lied to their parents again and told them that they were going to go stay with a friend to focus on art, music, and give space and time for healing. Their parents, not wanting to be too guilty, agreed. Her parents. But, come to find out, Ezra Miller is the one that booked Takata's flight to New York. And in actuality, Takata was going to meet with Ezra, who arrived to retrieve Takata within 24 hours of them landing in New York. They were then spotted in Los Angeles in late February and early March, before making their way to Hawaii, where Ezra's public crime spree began. A month after, on April 27th, nervous father Chase Iron Eyes obtained an order for substance abuse evaluation from the tribal court. Takata and Ezra then returned to Vermont, where Chase attempted to serve the evaluation to Takata with the assistance of the Bennington County Sheriff's Department. Takata avoided being served and fled with Ezra. Chase then successfully petitioned for a temporary guardianship and simultaneously petitioned to amend the other order to include a mental health evaluation. May 8th, 2022, during a phone call in which Takata calls their mother Sarah from Ezra Miller's telephone, and with Ezra Miller in the background, Takata is mainly focused on questions about the court orders. Ezra takes over the phone call and accuses Takata's parents of emotional abuse, stating Takata wants to be called Gibson, and that they want to be referred to as they, and that they are now trans. Sarah advised Ezra that Takata had never informed the parents of this, and that Takata is capable of speaking for herself, adding that Takata is not Ezra. According to their parents, Gibson is a nickname that Takata had previously called everyone, including themselves, friends, and families, and their pets. Sarah also advised Ezra that this was ironic for Ezra to make accusations of emotional abuse when Ezra had physically assaulted and given Takata LSD in January, causing them to have a mental breakdown. Man, oh man. It's worth repeating that Takata has previously advised their parents that they are non-binary, gay, queer, which her parents say they were proud of and have supported. The family includes that non-binary children were already supported and have thrived within the family. According to their parents to date, Takata has not themselves advised their parents or childhood best friends that they are trans. To some, it appears that Ezra Miller is not able to separate their own identity and delusions from Takata, and that some portions of the ongoing narrative voiced by Ezra Miller are part of the delusional brainwashing and cult-like behavior that is occurring. This is all complicated by the alleged abuse of ketamine and LSD. May 27th, 2022, Takata's parents found their approximate location in the Los Angeles area after being informed that they were walking around like a zombie with a bruise under the eye socket without access to their phone, and that Ezra was not allowing Takata to eat. Takata's friend also described having to ask Ezra permission for Takata to go out to dinner. On May 29th, 2022, Chase and Sarah knocked on the door of the residence where Takata was reportedly staying. A young person by the name Rosie answered, and when asked if Takata was present, Rosie paused and looked to Ezra for an appropriate response. Sarah began calling out for Takata, and Ezra responded by saying, "Sarah, we are not going to do this here." Takata appeared and was happy to see their mother, giving her a hug, but immediately became confrontational with their father over being served with the evaluation orders. After approximately 15 minutes of discussion, during which Takata consumed cannabis, tried to empty alcohol containers, and ranted about the KKK, police, pedophiles, and other conspiracies, Takata, Ezra, and Rosie fled from the residence. Chase Iron Eyes called the Santa Monica police for assistance in administering the temporary guardianship and mental health substance abuse evaluations. So, the irony of this all is that Ezra has this girl doped up. He's feeding her these conspiracies about how they're about to go to war with the KKK and how they're against pedophiles, when in reality, Ezra is one and has been sleeping with this girl since the age of 14 and has been grooming her since the age of 12. So she's out here on LSD with firearms, preparing to fight something that her friend is all the way guilty of. It's so psychotic. When I told you all that this was crazy, I guarantee you all did not have this in mind. I guarantee you all did not suspect for one moment that Ezra had this little girl out here like a freedom fighter with AK-47s preparing to fight the KKK while on LSD. It's such a scary situation, y'all. They're going to get themselves ended really quick. I can tell you that. It's not going to last long if they don't get this girl help. Before the police arrived, Ezra whispered something to Takata and Rosie, and they started walking quickly down the road. Sarah kept up with them. At one point, Takata was limping due to the shoes they were wearing, stating that they had blisters all over their feet. Sarah gave Takata her boots, and she put them on, hugging her mother, shoeless. Sarah kept walking with Takata. Ezra whispered to Takata again, and they began running away from Sarah. Takata pulled out a knife, threatening their mother. Sarah followed close behind, keeping up the pace while she continued to encourage Takata to leave the situation with Ezra. So, moments after hugging her mother, moments after her mother took the shoes off of her own feet and gave them to this little girl to put on, and she did put them on, Ezra whispers something in her ear, and this little girl pulls out a knife on her own mother. Cult. It's a cult. It's a damn cult. Ezra made physical contact with Sarah as Takata and Rosie were getting into an Uber. Sarah reached inside for Takata, attempting to talk to them. And then Ezra slammed the door on Sarah's arm several times, injuring Sarah. Here she is with the bruise marks on her arm. Ezra advised Takata and Rosie that Ezra would meet them there and proceeded to rapidly walk down the street as the Uber left. Sarah reported the assault by Ezra to Santa Monica police on May 29th, 2022. She has several large bruises on both her arms after being attacked by Ezra. Now, this father is way better than me. The father in this situation is way better than me. Not only have you groomed my little girl, not only have you kidnapped my little girl, but now you've assaulted my wife. I tell you right now, there would be no more Ezra Miller. If this was me, and I'm not trying to act like a big, bad, tough guy, if this was me, we wouldn't have this conversation. Out of there. He would have been out of there, on the spot. No questions asked, no hesitation, not a moment of thought process. You know what? Let me just keep my thoughts to myself here. I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself in this situation. But there would be no more Ezra Miller. June 9th, 2022. Takata Iron Eyes makes a rumbling statement on their Instagram account. And I think I showed you all of that. So here's where we're at in this whole situation. Let me go see, is there any other things that I want to run across here? There's so much information. Chief Bearcross had a lot to say about Ezra's psychotic behavior. After leaving Chef Bear's home around January 1st, Ezra attended a prayer meeting for Takata with the medicine man. Afterwards, Ezra called Chief Bear and harshly criticized the meeting. Chief defended the spiritual way of life, saying that Ezra just ran down the spiritual way of life. I told them you shouldn't be going around going to spiritual medicine people if you don't like the great nation's way of life. Ezra made a claim that Takata should be the one to carry on the white buffalo calf pipe. Chief continued, "That's when I knew this person's talking nonsense. Something is getting to Ezra's head. Every time we said hello, how are you, Ezra would respond with weird messages, saying stuff like, the tree spoke to me, the bark fell off. You'll find that path with the tree bark. A little while later, Ezra messaged me saying, I knew you were a fake man. You're no chief. You're a bad man. Out of nowhere, Ezra started saying crazy crap. Chief said, I have to say some words to Ezra. There's so much shit Ezra said that hurt my feelings. Ezra called my kids a little bastard and my wife a slutty whore. After the hospitality we gave to Ezra in our home, Ezra was... After the hospitality... Man, this guy is insane. After the hospitality we gave to Ezra in our home, Ezra was paranoid. They think the FBI is watching them because Ezra was transporting drugs, because Ezra was smoking ketamine. Ezra thinks the feds are onto them. Ezra thinks that the law is out to get them. I know Ezra's very mean to women. Ezra told me that they are bisexual. In the Lakota way of life, there is a two-spirited being, but they never call themselves out. People will know just by knowing it. Two-spirited beings are very sacred to the great nation way of life, the Lakota way of life, where they would stay back and be protectors of the women and the weak. It is the opposite of what Ezra is doing. Ezra's not even Lakota. Someone might adopt Ezra because Ezra could bribe them with money. And then he goes on to say that he doesn't know Ezra's whereabouts. So folks, man, I think it's safe to say that not only did that get crazier than you all imagined, it even snuck up on me a little bit. Never. And I just got this question asked the other day. When I record my videos, it's one take. I sit down and I talk. I don't have a script. I'm not looking at anything. Yes, I may have some information on my iPad. Yes, I may read an article or something like that. But as far as what I'm saying, it's not prepared. And this is the first time in all the stories that I've covered that I almost lost control of myself on multiple occasions. And I want you all to understand that I'm laughing here to stop myself from crying. I'm laughing at just how crazy the world is. I'm laughing because I know that in no other circumstances would someone would be allowed to do things like this. But because Ezra has money and because Ezra is trans, bi, non-binary, he's been allowed to do all of this stuff with no repercussions whatsoever. And I'm just laughing at the audacity of it all. How we went from, one situation all the way down to this guy's got this little girl, seeing voodoo priest, and it just got so bad. It got so bad that it was just blowing my mind, and I'm still kind of mind blown. I don't fully know how to feel here other than disgusted and angry. So pissed off that this was allowed to happen. I'm scared for this little girl. I feel sorry for the family, and at the same time, I'm not happy with the family either, But like I stated, this is a unique situation, and we aren't in this family's shoes. So we don't know exactly how all of this stuff transpired. Yeah, sure. The fact that Ezra's famous, maybe the family thought that there was something to gain here, but I think they quickly realized that it wasn't worth their child. And now they want to get their child back from his grasp. Also, in some situations, listen, we've seen situations like this before. In a lot of situations, I feel like the parents are largely responsible for what happened because they purposely throw their kids out there like bait in order to gain something from famous people. I know that happens a lot. I don't necessarily see that here. Yeah, maybe the parents thought that there was something to gain. I don't feel like it was necessarily money. Maybe attention on whatever battles they were fighting, in their little social justice circle, in their activist circle. They maybe thought Ezra could bring more attention to whatever situation they're fighting about. But I honestly don't think that this was one of those situations where they allowed their daughter to be like bait for financial gain. I know a lot of people are wondering that. I don't think that is this situation. And then, we even have it here where a lot of these people didn't even know who Ezra was. This dude woke up Ezra Miller's in his house, and he's like, who the f is this guy? What? The Flash? So an extremely odd situation. But like I said, we got to focus on what matters here. And what matters is that this girl gets home safely and that Ezra is put away. Ezra needs to be put away. We've gone far beyond anything anyone could ever imagine. And with this information I laid out here before all of you all, now we know he's broken into people's homes and all types of stuff that we didn't know to begin with. So it's way worse than any of us thought. And it's only going to get worse if she isn't found. Let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. If by any chance you have any information about this girl's whereabouts, let it be known. Let me know your thoughts. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button. If you like anything you heard here today, hit me up on the Cash App or drop a super thanks down below. And as always, I'll talk to you all on the next video.